You know what never happens in the state of Texas? Practically never happens. Republicans, your political heroes, with an R next to their name, fight with each other. They're in lockstep, man. They don't fight with each other ever. So that's shocking by itself. What's even more shocking is why they're fighting. Yeah, if you had Republicans fighting with each other, calling each other names, fighting over THC, if you had that in the office pool, you're a winner, but I think you're probably a liar too. There's no way you saw this coming. I don't know what we're supposed to make of this political fight that has started over THC. Step away from that for just a second. An opinion here. Feel free to disagree. But if a Democrat ever wants to win in the state of Texas, if you just want a chance to win, not get smoked as usual, you have to do one thing. You have to minimize the impact of Republican primary voters. And you do that by getting big turnout in urban areas and among people under the age of 35. And you do that by talking about legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana. That's how you move the needle. If you want to stop the power of the blue hairs, and it's pretty much a lock, start talking about marijuana. I think it's one of the many things that Beto O'Rourke in his run-up didn't do well at all. If you want to win, you have to break or even crack the rural blue hair cycle Republicans own. Just a sidebar. Now, the fight. What do we make of the fight? What do we make of the name calling? You know, I mean, I'm never prepared for this because it never happens. The most powerful man in Texas government, I call him the Davy Crockett of our time, and I'm sure you agree. Dan Patrick, his lieutenant governor, has the power. It's a relatively weak position for the governor in the state of Texas. And he acts, Dan Patrick, your Davy Crockett, acts as if the governor of Texas wants to inject children with heroin and crack. Maybe even more, the way he's acting. It's like Greg Abbott is jabbing a needle in your kid's arm with crack and heroin. I think we should always be cynical about and skeptical about anything that comes out of an elected official's face. I don't think we're cynical enough. I don't think we're skeptical enough. I think you believe far too much. I think you're too kind. I think you're too much of a suck up as a voter. So I'm always going to assume when a politician advocates for anything, it's in his or her own self-interest. It's not the taxpayer's interest. So whatever they're pushing, I don't think any of us should ever believe it's about you. It's about them. But that's how they keep their careers going. So what is that cynical setup? Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong, but I don't know anyone in their right mind who wouldn't be cynical about what happens at the Capitol. But what's the angle for these two? That's the real question. What's the angle? Don't say health and safety. Shut up. Right? Okay. We do not have a hemp problem in health and safety. We eat ourselves to death. Don't tell me this is what we're concerned about. So what is the angle for these two who would never point fingers at each other? And they are. It's kind of cool. Yeah, they're acting like fools. So none of this is sincere. Sorry, that's what I think. None of it's sincere. None of it has to do with the health of the people in this state. Why are these two fighting over this way, and why are they doing it now? It is such rare territory for ours, who control everything in this state, to call each other names. I can't remember the last time. I really don't. So the man is starting to master. It's like, you ever watch The Gong Show? Ever remember that? Watch a Gong Show sometime. These Dan Patrick press conferences about hemp remind me of The Gong Show. It's just out of control. So he's going to double down. Here goes your Davy Crockett.
In reading the proclamation, one can only come to this conclusion, which surprises me. The governor of the state of Texas wants to legalize recreational marijuana in Texas. The last time I talked to the governor in the Capitol before session, he said, don't worry about the bill. He said, your bill is fine. That's what he told me, in front of witnesses. We're not Colorado, and we're not Oregon, and we're not Washington State. We're Texas. And I will not sign a bill that legalizes marijuana in Texas.
Okay. You know, about 70% of the people wish you would, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Remember, it's about Republican primary voters, your grandma, all right? And she thinks that's the devil. But the fact that he would call him out, the fact that this fight is happening, this is all about some technicality over hemp, a bill. I can't remember what number it was. Senate Bill 3, I think it is. It's about hemp. It's outlawing hemp, and that's a legal business in the state of Texas. It's been legal for some time. And last time any one of us checked, it's not exactly like you're running around out of your mind, setting stuff on fire and stabbing people in the neck. Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. But to hear Davy Crockett talk, it really is as if the governor wants to inject your child with heroin, crack. I don't even know what PCP is, but I like to say it. PCP. Give me some other drugs. I don't know. Whatever else is around. Sniffing glue. There's one. So, what a nut. Okay, why this, why now? I don't know. Why this, why now? By the way, do any of you really, we're not Oregon. We're not Colorado. You know, because they're out of control. Those places are on fire, aren't they? People aren't even going to survive. Why this, why now? Does any of you really think, because he said those words on purpose, legalization of recreational marijuana, he knew that was scripted. I don't believe anything sincere comes out of that man's giant forehead. Okay, nothing sincere. I don't believe. That's an opinion. If you think otherwise, I think you're foolish. But so that was scripted. To say those words was scripted. So somebody's on the other side of that. That Gong Show-like news conference, part 2 for him. Do you really think anytime soon that you're going to get recreational marijuana legalized in the state of Texas? Really? You want to do an over-under on that one? He acts as if it's going to happen tomorrow. I'll give you 5 years. You think it's good? What's the over-under? 5 years? I'll say no chance, no way. So I assume these two politicians have nothing to do with the market for marijuana, the legalization, the regulation. I don't believe one single thing either one of them say. Somebody is in his ear. And I believe somebody's in the governor's ear. They're fighting for a reason. They're pointing fingers at each other for a reason. They don't do anything for you. So somebody's on the other side of this script. Somebody's paying Dan Patrick to hate on THC again and again and again. Somebody is in his ear or his pocket. Take your pick. So he will repeatedly say things like, that guy is out to legalize marijuana. And I think he said that. You can offer up whatever you think. I think he said that. I almost get the impression he wants that guy's job. Dan Patrick's job, his existence, like everyone else in politics, his existence is to keep his job. And that's two things. You get there two things. You make the money happy, and you make sure primary voters, old ladies and old men in rural Texas, think whatever you talk about like THC is the devil. And I think he might want Greg Abbott's job. I don't know. Something's up. So for Greg Abbott, why would Greg Abbott be linked to this? Why would Greg Abbott say, of course, look, this is something rarely I ever say because it rarely, if ever, happens. Greg Abbott's position is pretty much common sense. I mean, common sense would be to legalize and let's get on with this. That would be common sense, but we aren't ruled by common sense. We're ruled by your country grandma. But Greg Abbott's position is, hey, wait a second, this has been legal for a while. People are making money at this. What's he doing that for? Why would he risk being called out by Davy Crockett and the Blue Hairs? So I think, again, having nothing to do with you, nothing to do with economics, nothing to do with health. Never, never. I almost get the feeling that he wants Greg Abbott's job, and I get the feeling that Greg Abbott knows that, and I think Greg Abbott is still sort of running a shadow campaign to be president. And so he's going to have these more broad-based positions. I mean, this is what most people, none of you care about this. You don't. You're not worried about it. If so, you're a jackass. You're not worried about hemp. You're not worried about recreational marijuana at all. You're not. Who is? Probably that lady that stands in a line at elementary school and votes in a rural area. So I'm wondering if Greg Abbott's not got some kind of bigger idea for a shadow campaign for president 2028. Right? He would have to be, why that, Jeff? He has to be a little MAGA. You can't make fun of the Trump crowd, but slightly more refined, a little bit more broad-based. And part of what got Trump where he is now is a bunch of bros, neck-bearded dudes vote for him. And those neck-bearded dudes are not flipping out about THC. Certainly not flipping out about hemp. They're fine with it. So that's where I think this is. No, I don't think this is about, I don't think it's about finance. I don't think it's about the money we could be making. I don't think it's about the fact that businesses are legal and doing this already. I don't think it's any of those things. Those would be right and righteous. But that's not why these men exist. So, I don't know. Patrick's coming at him for some reason and calling him names and saying recreational marijuana. Abbott knew it was coming. He's no fool. He's a calculated politician, a professional. He knew it was coming his way. He's even called a special session. God help us. Can you imagine what a circus that'll be again on your nickel? A special session for this. You're paying. I can't remember what the price tag was. It's like $12 million or something for a special session out of your pocket. So he's going to call a special session to bring this back. I don't think he did that accidentally. There's a purpose behind Greg Abbott's position. Is it the presidency? Because the last guy that ran for the presidency, who I actually thought would win, I embarrassed myself and said, I think he's going to win. That went pretty well, didn't it? It was an absolute flameout. So what do the two of them want? Why would they call each other names over hemp? Why try to stick this to Greg Abbott? And what would Greg Abbott run this risk knowing, representing the blue hairs and some other, I suspect some other industry wants Dan Patrick to take this position. Some other industry wants him to have all of these gong show-like news conferences, these circus acts that he's putting on. Some other industry, I think, wants him to go here.